Time to go to Chicago, and we get to catch up with our friend Max Anderson, find out what's on Max's mind in the Eastern Conference, Chicago Fire, Gregg Berhalter, Choice D, all the above. Max, what up?
Not much. I'm trying to find out what's your burner account name. If, in theory, John, you had a burner account, I'd love to know what's John Nelson's burner account title.
Okay, so let's see. Let's think about this. Oh, probably something. Jimbo Fisher is. Let's see.
Unemployed?
Yeah. Well, I have $90M and you don't.
Okay, fair enough.
Something like that, just to continue. Well, actually, and if it was me impersonating him, it would be FSU quitter. Year.
Tell us how you really feel.
Well, as an alum of the institution, it is so it will have been 2 coaches and about $147 million, something like that. I mean, I forget what Jimbo's buyout was, but yeah, you're probably looking at about $120 million in buyouts over the last 2 college football coaches. Yay.
Well, as an Indiana University alum, I'm having a little more fun than you right now, John.
Oh, but I mean, look, Cignetti, he is crushing it. It is great to see what's going on, and I mean, for me to see what has been going on there, where the last time it was successful, you got to play 13, and it was really cool to see that level of Indiana football, but now you're seeing what Cignetti can bring to the table. I'm enjoying new folks in the B1G sitting there and telling Michigan to take a seat. I'm enjoying that kind of stuff.
I think everybody is. I grew up a Northwestern fan. I grew up in Evanston, and my dad went to Kellogg. So I grew up a big Northwestern fan, went to Indiana for school. Never, honestly, full disclosure, never got really behind the sports teams there. It was just a rough time. The program was ran by Kevin Wilson. It wasn't fun. He was a maniac. So never really ingratiated myself. So definitely hand up. Been on the bandwagon, but having fun. A lot of my friends still are having a lot of fun, so I'm having fun with them.
All right, so then before we actually get to talking about soccer, I would have maintained that if Northwestern stayed at Martin, if they had stayed on the lakefront, that lakefront creation that they put in the lab and put there, I would maintain that they would be sold out every week. It would be a destination in the B1G. It would be a fun look. And seriously, I mean, it's one of the great vistas that you've created at Northwestern right there on the waterfront. And you decide, we're going to drop 800 large on a freaking spaceship or whatever.
What do you mean? It's a soccer-style stadium. I thought that'd be news to your audience and happy news. No, it's funny because I'm still a season ticket holder for Northwestern. My dad's been for 30 years. I took him over about 8 years ago. It's an affliction. It was fun there for a while. It's been not as fun here lately.
Yeah.
Do you want the fan answer to that or the analyst answer to that?
Choice D, all the above, sir.
All right. I'll start with the analyst answer and say the city of Evanston would never let that happen. And it was a Herculean effort, even to let them do what they did on the lakefront.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So cool. 2 years. Loved it. And I think everybody that walked in that stadium said, man, wouldn't it be cool if they just built it here? But unfortunately, that was never going to happen. The city of Evanston was never going to allow that to happen. It was, again, anything that's built on the lakefront takes a Herculean effort in the city of Evanston, and frankly, rightfully so. Northwestern doesn't pay any property taxes. It's like I could go all day on Northwestern and 160-year-old state laws that exempt them from property taxes, and that have been challenged in courts 10 times, and Evanston always loses. So. Not exactly the friendliest relationship between the city and the university. That's why they had to pay him $120 million over 10 years to let them build what they built on Central Street. So,
fantastic. Okay, we did actually bring you in to talk about soccer. Look, the show goes off the rails, and it's perfectly
fine. We have fun.
It doesn't matter. All right, so when you look at the 2025 season for Chicago Fire under Gregg Berhalter, now that you've had like a day to sit there and look at the entire body of work, what sticks with you from this season, being the voice of the Chicago Fire? What has stuck with you about this year?
Significant progress. I think this is my 3rd year on the broadcast crew. I wasn't on the game Saturday. The other half of the broadcast team, Max Toma, was. But progress. Yeah. And when I think back to how I started with the Fire. Ezra Henriksen was the head coach, which feels like a lifetime ago. Then Frank Klopas took over an interim, was okay. They brought him back on another year, wasn't okay. And they bring in this Gregg Berhalter, who, frankly, as a medium follower of U.S. men's national team, didn't have the best reputation in my eyes. Had really gotten dragged through the mud there at the end of his time with the U.S. men's national team. I am probably the biggest Gregg Berhalter fan there is in existence at this point.
Okay.
What he did this year was incredible. Some really shrewd signings for sure, but the confidence and, most importantly, the plan that he put in place and the infrastructure that he put in place. Obviously, everyone's seen the news about the stadium, which, John, I'm sure you're going to schedule a road trip there.
Yeah.
When the time comes in 2028.
Mm-hmm.
It's really impressive what's happened, especially in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
And progress. I mean, one step. I was saying to somebody else yesterday, it's a staircase to get to where Philadelphia's gotten, to where Atlanta has been at times. And they took a step this year. There's going to be a landing that they hit. They're going to plateau, but then they're just going to keep climbing the staircase. And I think they will. I mean, that's team. You look at that game 1 against Philadelphia, just never quit. And that's the new attitude that Gregg Berhalter's brought is, doesn't matter, 84th minute, what were the odds? Probably plus 2,000 to even get a draw at that point.
Yeah.
And they did. And the belief and the confidence that Gregg Berhalter's installed, really impressive to watch. And frankly, I love his interactions with the media. He's honest. He's candid. You ask a question, he'll give you an answer. And it's just been a really fun year, regardless of how it ended.
15 different goal scorers this year for Chicago. Obviously, 32 of them went to Kuipers and Zinkernagel, which I think don't they have like 1,009 on the lakefront for their business offices for the legal firm from 9 to 4 Monday through Thursday.
Exactly.
You get the 32 goals from Kuipers and Zinkernagel, but then you have Gutierrez pitching in almost close to double digits, and then you have folks like Jonathan Bamba, Andrew Gutman, Tom Barlow. So there is that to your thought on the collective. It is improvement, and you're having a bunch of different folks contributing offensively. I know that there's probably going to be some defensive things that will be addressed in the offseason starting, say, December 11th, when you got to have your lists in and everything. But offense, I don't think is a concern because Chicago is investing in it once again, and it's smart investment because a guy like Zinkernagel, he was sought around the world, and he goes to Chicago. So there are some pieces here. Offense is in play, and there's improvement there. I think now it's the defense you've got to be staring at,
Yeah, gave up 65 goals in the regular season. Philadelphia gave up 35, right? That's a big delta. And yeah, that's the way that Gregg Berhalter approached the problem. Was he had the opportunity, get some offensive pieces. Zinkernagel, no one could have expected him to be a 15-15 guy. He was just incredible. And I mean, what a warrior to play in that game too, without really even being listed as in the injury report, because he was clearly in discomfort, still played all 90 and played all 90 hard. And so I know he further ingratiated himself with the fan base the way he came out. They clearly started with the front, right, with the attack. And you're right. What comes next is kind of that central mid going back to the defense, and already news. I mean, man, does the guy ever sleep? Monday morning, and rumors about this Anton Saletros, who, 19 caps with the Swedish national team, AIK Academy grad, it's played in Russia, just played in Norway, it's played in France, like a very experienced guy that apparently is coming over per public reports. Haven't heard anything official from the Fire on it, but I've seen AIK talk about it. So sure seems like that's going to happen. I mean, 48 hours after what was a really dispirited end, already working on the next round of additions and how to make this team better. So again, it's another step. And I think this team going into next year should be a sure, favorite lock to make the playoffs. And, with a couple of more shrewd moves on the defensive end, I think could do even more than that.
With this roster, and of course this means I'm probably going to have to go up and dig the September GAM numbers out, but is there someone in your mind that kind of flew below the radar outside of the big names? Who are some of those second level dudes that kind of flew below the radar that impressed you this season that you're looking forward to seeing that next step in 26?
Sergio Orgel's still 21 years old, and I think that's the one that a lot of people thought they might see a little bit more scoring from. Now, that's not what he was asked to do. If you look at a stat sheet, I'm sure your viewers are probably looking up Sergio Orhel. I don't remember hearing that name very much. Stats don't necessarily stick out in terms of goal contributions, but what he was able to do box to box really was one of the reasons they were able to go. Now, Andre Franco was the other reason, right? And the status for him, unclear. And when he's going to be back, is this a 6-month ACL? Is this an 8-month ACL, but he's not going to be right for 12 months? We don't know, and we won't know for a while. So that clarity, I think, in the next month or two, or based on how signings go, is going to tell you a lot about how they feel about Franco's ability to come back in 2026. It's going to be actions, not words, because every ACL is a little bit different. Some have gotten to the point where they're fine in 6 months. Other guys take an entire year to really get right. There's just no way to tell. So Franco, Sergio Orhel, I'd say those two in terms of guys that came in, and for Orhel was never necessarily being expected to play 30-some games this season, starting the majority of them. I think they expected him to be more of a super sub role than the starter that he had become, but was forced into action. So those two guys, I think, on the roster currently, I'm very intrigued to see what happens next. And Franco's contract situation also complicates things. He's not technically under contract. All indications are they want to keep him around, and he doesn't want to go back. But they're going to have to figure that out with his home club, because I don't think the Fire want to stash him for a year on a contract that they don't realistically wouldn't see him till earliest of June-ish. But more realistically, probably not till after the World Cup break.
2 and 4 is the model for those that may not know. It is the 2 DPs, and you had technically you had 5 U22s, but Koutsias was out on loan. So you're 2 and 4. Looking at the numbers for contract and contract decisions, Jack Elliott through this year, option for 26. Kouame on loan, contract through this year, and then it's 26, 7, and 8. Then it is Mueller, who is unavailable, but once again, SEI. So a contract through 25, option for 26. Same for Barlow. Andre Franco, you mentioned. Chase Gasper out of contract. Omar Gonzalez, who I think just had another birthday. He's like 708. Omar has a contract through this year with an option for 26. There are a lot of, and 25 Jeffrey Gals, a supplemental, who's out of contract. David Paraba, 25 options for 6, 7, and 8. Same for Sam Williams. Brian Dowd on the supplemental, who's out on loan, is through 25 options for 26 and 27. So there aren't a whole lot of major money decisions when it comes to the dudes who are out of contract that you might have to think about picking up options and such. So the big name folks and the folks that you're anticipating hanging around for a while, they're not the decisions that you've got to make. You can add to that, as you mentioned, with the talk with AIK and the Allsvenskan, but it's pieces that you've got to worry about picking up options.
Yeah, it's a good flexibility position to be in. And I think there's a couple of those names that will be back, and there's several that I think won't, as there was a significant turnover on the roster from Gregg Berhalter's arrival back at the beginning of last year, or end of last year, I should say. And I expect to see a good amount of turnover once again as he continues to make this roster the way he wants it to. I think everybody always knew it was going to be a minimum of a 2-year process just for him to get the roster in the place that he wants it. Again, if you had told Fire fans on February 1st, hey, you're going to be playing in the playoffs, you're going to have a home playoff game. Yeah, it's technically 2 home playoff games. How's that sound? They would have taken it in a heartbeat, right? So from an expectation standpoint, I think the hope was to make the playoffs. The expectations was to be more competitive. I don't think a 23-point improvement was in anybody's bingo card in a playoff appearance. So I know Fire fans are excited, despite how things ended, just the tempo I get. Specific roster decisions, that's not my forte, unfortunately, John. I am not one of those. Not one of those MLS cap sickos. I know a couple. I can certainly refer you a couple. But in terms of how that puzzle fits together, beyond my area of expertise.
I'm just sitting here staring at it going, okay, contract objects, like, okay, fine.
I could see, Jack Elliott was so good. Again, I don't know how that projects out.
Leave him unmarked at 22 yards away.
Yeah, that was, one of my favorite calls of my broadcast career. It sounded a little screamy, I think, but how could you not be in that moment as a home radio broadcaster? Yeah, so that was really fun. if that's the highlight of the year for me, that was a heck of a highlight.
No doubt. When you look at the rest of the playoffs right now, we got match day threes coming up here on the weekend. I don't know if you stayed up almost late to see what happened with Seattle and Minnesota last night, but when you see the match day threes coming up, what sticks in your head about these matchups on the weekend? Oh, you muted. I don't know. You muted. There's something going on. I don't know. It's like somebody just – there it is. There you go.
Somehow I accidentally hit the mute. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Did not catch the Minnesota Seattle game live. Did catch the highlights this morning. What a chaos that was.
Oh, boy.
So game 3, I believe that's going to be next weekend.
Yeah, everything's coming up this weekend, so we can sit there and take the international break off and then go in 2 weeks and pick it back up.
That's right.
Just when you get momentum coming out of the opening round game day threes, we got an international one.
Exactly. So that always throws me off a little bit when there's that break. It feels so unnatural.
Sure.
Really cool to see a bunch of 1-1 series, right? I mean, Miami, Nashville, that's going to be a war. Looking forward to that one this weekend. Charlotte, NYC after that penalty kick shootout, which was dramatic, to force a game 3. Cincinnati, Columbus, a game 3. San Diego, Portland. Who had that on their bingo card that Portland might push San Diego to a game?
Who had missing 3 PKs in a row on the bingo card, man?
Yeah, and it just goes to show you. I mean, that was I think the most frustrating part about the game 1 is, in a game where the Fire were certainly underdogs, if you can get the game to a PK, essentially a coin flip. I mean, there's a little bit of skill, but it's a lot of coin flip for sure. And, for the Fire not to have been able to execute that penalty kick shootout, who knows how game 2 goes if that goes better. So for Portland, that's certainly exciting for the league to see an 8 seed again challenging to advance, which I know has become a bit of a fun annual tradition for an 8 seed to find a way. So I'd say my number 1, Miami, Nashville, just for the drama of it. And I think to watch the league squirm a little bit if somehow Miami gets knocked out. I think from a fan perspective, there's a lot of a feeling of that. I don't necessarily feel that way. I love watching Miami play. I mean, I got to see Lionel Messi play live at Soldier Field. I actually got to see him when I was in college, when I was living abroad and studying in Barcelona, and became a big FC Barcelona fan at Camp Nou. So big fan of his, for more than a decade now. And I was there when they won the treble. So became a big Barcelona fan in college. So all that to say, to watch these guys now on the MLS side, be able to broadcast these guys, thinking back to my college self now is pretty cool.
Yep. And so I guess we're not supposed to mention finances, Joan Laporta, and construction permits at the Camp Nou, right? We're not supposed to go there.
This is a free country, fortunately, so we can. There's always something going on. Catalonia is an interesting place. If you've ever been to Barcelona, if you've ever been to Spain, specifically that region, there's an independence movement in Catalonia for a reason. Mm-hmm. It is a different place. If you've been to Madrid but haven't been to Barcelona, it's like being in 2 different countries.
What's next for you? What's going on in your universe now?
So soccer broadcasting world's over. I'm still do a lot of work with the UIC in the Missouri Valley Conference. So I actually have a game Wednesday night for the UIC men's soccer.
There you go.
They started off with a flurry. They've hit a little bit of a rough patch where they might not even have a home MVC playoff game, which looked like they were going to. So that's a bummer. That would have been this weekend. I don't think that's going to happen. If they win Wednesday, I think they need some things to happen. I'm still working on my prep there. I do a lot of high school hockey in the area. Just on it. That's kind of how I started. And then I do all the hockey state championships here in the state of Illinois at the United Center. This year, it's going to be at a different venue, which I can't say publicly yet, but I think fans will be happy about. Mm-hmm. And still searching. So if you know anybody with play-by-play roles in the Chicago area and frankly outside of it, I'm willing to travel. So I love what I do, and it's my side passion. As you can tell, I'm traveling for work here. I'm in a hotel room in Omaha, Nebraska, but just keeping it alive with the broadcasting work. So hey, out there, if you need a play-by-play broadcaster in basketball or football or baseball or soccer or hockey, mm-hmm. I do it all.
Well, so is this change of venue for the state championships? Could it be something that's on the horizon? Maybe.
Yes, it's going. 2026 will not be at the United Center, and it's going to be at another very large venue in the Chicago area, right off the highway, just west of Chicago. I think enough people, if they know the area, know where I'm talking about, but it hasn't technically been done.
Yeah, the IHF stuff. Yeah, something close.
But no, it's exciting stuff. I love the work that I do, and certainly don't do it for the money. Do it because I absolutely love what I do.
Right, as always. You know where the garage door opener is and where the key is under the mat. You know that we'll be knocking down your door when it comes to the off season and everything else going on. Do not be a stranger, my friend. Great to see you, and safe travels as you're there in Omaha.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. And feel free. Things break through the off season. Happy to come on and talk about it.
Will do. All right, there goes Max Anderson. Be safe, my friend. We'll see you soon.